so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll move to the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Blade Power. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Citizens' comments tonight? Thank you, sir. Next, we'll go to approval of the minutes of the November 12th, 2019 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Blade Anderson. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
New business, item 1. A recommendation on the proposed plan of services to accompany Resolution 3619, a resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed annexation on territory into the city of Fairview by owner Kyle Jones and approving a plan of services. 7112 New Hope Road, parcel known as tax map 18, parcel 72.
I don't have any paperwork on that one, but I read it online.
Yeah, or to send a recommendation to the board for annexation or no. Do we have that map on there, or just the?
I don't, and I forgot to put a map up. Sorry about that.
So it's right off of New Hope Road. There's a parcel that maybe a year ago, a little less, we annexed, which is like 2 down or something from it on New Hope. It's surrounded by city property. New Hope Road is mainly city property, so I think it kind of fits in. And it'll come in as an RS-40, correct?
That's correct. It will come in as RS-40. It's already been before the BOC once, and then it comes to Planning Commission. At that point, we'll go back to Board of Commissioners with y'all's recommendation.
Sure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a Blade Anderson. Mr. Anderson's quiet down here on a second, but any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item 2, new business, recommendation to the BOC for PC 2019-07, a resolution to adopt revisions to the zoning ordinance for the city of Fairview, Tennessee. Mike, I'll let you take.
All right. I don't remember if I had it numbered whenever I sent it to y'all on what number they are. I don't believe I did.
Yes, sir.
Resolution 2019-7 is the section 4-101.5 of the zoning ordinance that deals with special personal and group care facilities. I'll give a quick rundown on all 4 of these and then get in specifics with each one. As we said back in, I believe it was April, that we adopted the new zoning ordinances, or the new zoning articles. It's a living document. We brought everything that we had up to speed, put it all where it could be read without jumping around too terribly much, kind of cleaned it up, adopted that. But like we said then, this is a living document. It's something that we're constantly going to be changing. The last couple of months, as you know, I've brought several before you. We have been looking into some of these regs to see what fits, what doesn't. Some of our regs have been kind of copied and pasted because, again, why reinvent the wheel if it's working somewhere? But some of them just don't apply. So we've kind of gone through, looked at what we believe, as far as staff goes, that needs to be changed, sent those out to you. And with this one specifically, special personal and group care facilities, this could be anything from family care, group care, even down to assisted livings, nursing homes, even just an elderly care. Anytime that someone is in a living place, whether it be residential or commercial if that multifamily is allowed in that spot. Anytime someone is in their home but being taken care of by staff, this basically covers those, with the exception of full medical care. Several places, they were allowed with supplemental provisions. Some, it was conditional. With the conditional provisions, it had to go before Board of Zoning Appeals. And when it went before Board of Zoning Appeals, it had to take paperwork from the state and other documents and other proofs that really was more burdensome on someone than it was worth to the city. With the Board of Zoning Appeals, we want to keep them where if something is going to change the area in a pretty great way, that they do have that say-so with the supplemental condition, or the conditional use. But we took most of this special personal and group care out of conditional, put it with supplemental, or put it where it is just strictly allowed in some districts. So that's what all of this was. It's a big chunk, but the reason is, depending on which section and subsections you're in, is how some of the wording was. So for the wording, we had to rewrite quite a bit, which is why it's such a lengthy read on that. Any specific questions on that?
Is there a number of people that becomes a group situation? I mean,
Yes, sir. I want to say it is 7. But let me see.
What is, how many,
what does it take to trigger it, I guess?
what is a group? How many is a group?
It mentioned, the only number in here is 13. I see 13 in here.
I've seen 13, and that was one that I had seen several times, and I want to make sure I was correct in saying that.
The way it's written, it makes it sound like group care facilities or family care are all defined by whatever the State of Tennessee Department of Health identifies them as, or the Department of Human Services. So this specific reg doesn't necessarily make its own definition. It kind of points to those.
That is correct. Similar to the USPS design regs that we had talked about earlier, we are taking burden off of the city and putting them onto the state. The state regulates these facilities. And so, as you saw in that, we do reference back to those standards for all of that.
It'll be all right.
I can look that up and get that information to you. I apologize for.
My thought was is what size, I mean, if you've got 3 or 4 people, that could be considered a group home. I mean, I know some places in Nashville that have like 4 people, it's a larger houses and they just.
It specifically relates to the care, not as much how many people are living there, but it's how many people are living and what care is being given to them. So you may have a house that has 5 people living there, but if they're not being given care or some other special provision with it being the group focused, that would be what the difference would be there.
Does the word pay for care involved in that? Because, I mean, if you got 4 people living there and then one person is being assisted and they're turning over their social security check or something and they're paying for their care,
It talks about a license being regulated by the Tennessee Department of Human Services. So I think you'd have to have like a license permit through the healthcare and things. So you'd be a legal group services care facility.
Care provider, okay.
Okay, for the family care facility, a licensed facility wherein residential services are provided to 8 or fewer unrelated individuals who are handicapped, aged, disabled, or otherwise in need of adult supervision. So that would be family care. Group care is a licensed facility wherein residential services are provided to 9 or more unrelated individuals who are handicapped, aged, or disabled, or otherwise in need of adult supervision in accordance with their individual needs. Then you have elderly daycare, where person or persons regularly provides non-medical care for a group of unrelated individuals for less than 24 hours a day. Those are spelt out in the definitions as to what.
You was explaining to us, you sort of giving us examples,
Yes, sir.
and it was coming almost from taking care of grandma and grandpa up to an old folks home, and there's a lot of distance in between those two
Okay.
places.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, was they defined, or was there, different parts of town, you know, or whatever that you mean, you know?
Yes, sir. At that point, it gets to the unrelated and what care is given and on a professional level, not just a family level.
Are we gonna have to vote on the chart that shows supplemental or conditional uses to update the chart to show these approved areas?
That is,
Does it reference it?
that is number 2, which is 2019-8, or sorry, number 3, which is the next change we'll be looking at. And that's where those regulations are shown going from the conditional to the supplemental.
Excellent. Any additional questions on 07? I'd like to make a motion for recommendation to the board.
I'd like to make a motion to send a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
First,
Second.
we have a second. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move to item 3, recommendation to the BOC for PC 2019-08, a resolution to adopt revisions to the zoning ordinance for the city of Fairview, Tennessee.
We actually changed 2 not major things with this, and this is why we're adopting it as a full article. The first one being the supplemental and conditional use, and we changed some of those charts. Got those where it would, these facilities would be a supplemental use in commercial districts. Again, makes sense to us if it does to you to streamline the process and put less burden on the city as well as the applicant bringing that to us, not having to go before BOZA. Again, if they have state license and state approval, that's a pretty big thing they've already had to do. We shouldn't be sitting here bringing little things onto them to show us why they have, how much staff they have. And that's one of the things that was taken out as well. The other thing on this was in the regular commercial districts, sidewalks are required, and there were a few requirements on that. And then once you got into commercial complexes, it gave more details on the sidewalks, but they kind of were mirroring each other a little bit off. We brought that complex up, put it on all commercial properties. What that does is puts sidewalk on along all right-of-ways, and clarifies how that's to be done and what sidewalks are required there. Again, taking a little bit from here and a little bit from here, putting them together, clearing up what we have so that there's not as much jumping back and forth, trying to figure out which reg means what. So those are the two overall changes we did with that. And we did bring out a couple of the commercial districts that we are not using currently. I believe we are moving 2 of those, and those are left blank. If you see the pages that say page left blank, that's because we have taken out those districts completely. There are not any pieces of property here in Fairview that are zoned with that. Again, as we talked back in the spring, we have a lot of districts, and some of them just don't make sense. So we did take out 2 of those, if that's y'all's will.
Micah, just for sake of clarity, you're referring to, I believe, the Article 8 Commercial District Regulations document. Is that correct?
Article 8, Commercial District Regulations. Yes, did I
Perfect.
not say that?
Okay, I just want to make sure. because
If
we
I
had
didn't, I'm
different ones
sorry.
here.
I know I've got it written on mine, and I may not have
That's cool.
said which one we were discussing. Sorry about that.
I know I received a digital copy of this last week, so I've already read through this, but there's
Okay.
not a paper copy in front of us right now.
Okay.
That's all.
Questions? Any motions? Recommendations?
I'd like to make a positive recommendation to, or make a motion for a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
First? Second. Any additional discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move to item 4, recommendation to the BOC for PC 2019-09, a resolution to adopt revisions to the zoning ordinance for the city of Fairview, Tennessee.
2019-9, that is going to be in reference to the grading permits, which is section 17, subsection 102.2. Again, clarifying some wording that's there, as well as adding a couple of regulations, clearing up for what is required, when it's required, and how to get that application and permit process for any grading that's to be done. A lot of that does match up with some of the state requirements as well, as far as when certain permits are required. Kevin, do you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, like Micah said, it's really just kind of cleaning up some of the things that we already are using permits for, and just putting everything in line with the procedure. So putting the code behind the procedure that we're already following, but just have something to go back on. It will help us streamline our process and review. And this is also built into our new electronic plan review system. So when we issue permits for grading, that'll all be coordinated together. So it'd be really nice to have that tied in with the code and also in our process.
Any questions on 09?
I'd like to make a motion for a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move to number 10, recommendation to the BOC for PC 2019-10, a resolution to adopt revisions to the zoning ordinance for the city of Fairview, Tennessee.
This is the last one we have, which is 2019-10 for tonight, in reference to maintenance bonds. Again, clearing up what we have been doing, getting wording behind it that has a little bit more bite to it, a little bit more substance. Some of the things that we have been requiring are good things. but this gives some direction to the what's in the hows for the bond process as well as the inspection process, so that everything on city side as well as developer side is clear and hopefully takes out any questions or fewer questions on what we require and why.
Questions on 10?
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion for a positive recommendation to the Board of Commissioners.
Second it.
First and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? All right. No bonds. We'll go to reports for discussion and information. Mr. Sullivan.
Appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Again, we are heading in the right direction, I think, I hope. Every day, we're working and feel like when we leave, we're a little bit further along than we were when we got here that morning. So if you see something that we send out that you're like, hey, I'm not really sure about this or why, talk to us. I know I've talked to several of y'all in the last little bit saying, hey, when you get these papers, read over them. Somewhat grammatical, because I don't like grammatical errors in regs that are going to be here forever, but also just the who, what, when, where, why, mainly the why. I think that's a really important question. And so anybody that has questions on any of these, please shoot me an email, give me a call, whatever. If you see me out, let's talk about it. But I do appreciate y'all for going through these. I know it's not fun, but I do believe we are in the right direction. And a huge thanks to Kevin for working with me and Scott, and then as y'all as well, for getting these things rolling in a direction that I hope's the right one. On top of that, Merry Christmas. It's been a big year. It's been a long year. We've gotten a lot done if you think back to January of 19. We've had 12 meetings, and I would say that we have made some major progress. So thank you all. Have a wonderful Christmas and a good New Year. We'll see you in January. I think it's the 14th. So thank you all.
Thank you, sir. City Engineer, Mr. Blackburn.
Aye, sir.
Thank you, sir. City Attorney, Mr. Potter. Thank you, sir. Communication from the Planning Commission members. Ms. Schulist.
Nothing for me.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I was just curious, there was some mention in October, November about some training or continuing education and stuff in 2020. Have you got anything set aside on your calendar?
Nothing is planned right now. We were discussing that may have been yesterday or it may have been today. It is in discussions of some of that training and what's going to be needed. I know that some of the regs mentioned that. It was yesterday. I was talking to Commissioner Burks about that. And I know this year we had a lot with some of the regs we brought in and did a lot of meetings and workshops with that, which counted. But I don't have anything planned, but I do hope to get some good plans and options for everybody. I know not everybody wants to be at the same trainings, so if we can get several and have things that as a group we're all a part of, but also individually that you would want to go somewhere and see how someone else is doing it, or go off to other planning trainings.
I'd like to say one more thing. I think this past year has been great compared to maybe the year before, which was confusing. And I think the city of Fairview is blessed with the staff that's at the helm right now. And I want to thank you all and wish you a Merry Christmas.
Mr. Power. Mr. Kelly.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Walls.
Merry Christmas.
Mayor Blade. Mr. Jenkins?
Actually, would anybody be able to shine some light on the city manager situation? Heard through the grapevine that Scott was stepping down from city manager, but we haven't heard anything since then.
Yeah, I think his last day is January the 30th, but the Board of Commissioners has approved an interim agreement for him to work through March, I think, Mayor, is that right? And that's very good because he'll be working on a contract basis for the city through that time because we need someone to handle day-to-day personnel issues, check signing, just nuts and bolts types things. But the position is posted. I think the deadline for applying is in January. And some applications have come in, and then after they all come in, there'll be an interview process, so moving along. So, Mayor, you have anything to add to that?
The deadline for applications is the 17th of December. At that time, those will go to the Citizens Committee to be vetted and evaluated to be sent to the BOC.
Anything else?
Mele Kalikimaka and Haole Makiki Kau.
Merry Christmas. The Christmas parade is Saturday, 4:30. Make sure and attend. Hopefully, maybe it'll be snowy, but I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved.